Good evening and welcome to the news at 6 here on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tracy Shilshi and we are getting you all the day's top developing stories, starting with the headlines. The Patel community agitation for OBC status turns violent in Gujarat. 3 people are killed as Prime Minister Modi appeals for peace. Curfew is imposed in many districts. Sell-off pressure from foreign investors and the China crisis affects Indian markets again. Sensex falls over 300 points. Nifty too closes close to 90 points down. Negotiations break down over the implementation of the One Rank, One Pension scheme proposal for army veterans. Protesters demand a meeting now with the Prime Minister. And amid a fresh push to resolve the Syrian crisis, President Assad counters speculation that he could now be eased out. Claims that Russia and Iran, do not abandon friends. Our top story, markets once again fell sharply today after recovering from the massive loss that we saw on Monday. Despite the rate cut by China, investors fear that it may not be enough to stabilize its slowing economy or stop the collapse at the global stock markets. The Chinese markets continue to witness volatility, shedding more than 1%. Here's a detailed report.
The government and the RBI have been trying to allay fears of investors amid the ongoing crisis in global markets. But concerns refused to die down, as markets witnessed another fall on Wednesday. Sell-off due to pressure from foreign investors and crisis in China led to Sensex falling over 300 points. Nifty lost close to 90 points. While investors were skeptical, some felt the current dip in prices could present an opportunity for long-term investments. Buying has picked up in the last 4 days, offering some support to Sensex and Nifty.
Good buying opportunity for long-term investor. Now China's factor is already priced in. It was a good buying opportunity.
China's stock markets ended 1.3% lower today amid volatile trade. At its day's low, its benchmark index Shanghai Composite fell nearly 4%. This takes losses in China markets to nearly 22% in 6 days. The rate cut announced by China's central bank on Tuesday failed to lift confidence of the investors.
我觉得应该算是股灾，在这么短的时间内，比如说4个交易日之内跌掉10%几20%，这种肯定算是股灾吧？我觉得，对。而且从5000点到现在破了3000点，时间非常短，我觉得应该算是一个股灾。
Asian stocks were up in early trade, but slumped as the day progressed. European and US shares rebounded after China's rate cut, but Wall Street closed lower in a late plunge overnight. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, for more on this story, we're joined by the editor of MoneyBhaskar.com, Mr. Harveer Singh, in studio this evening. Sir, thanks so much for being with us. First of all, after Monday's mayhem and yesterday's correction, we thought that the worst was over, but clearly the volatility is still continuing.
Yes, it seems that worst is not over. The way markets are behaving, yesterday when China cut interest rate almost a quarter point, but everybody thought that it will improve the market, and Indian market also closed on a positive side, then global market also improved. But finally, nothing is happening because it is Chinese economy which is giving jitters to worldwide economies, and impact is being felt even today. Yesterday also Chinese market went down, today also it went down, and Asian market showed a mix, I think, result. Japan moved a little bit up, but Hong Kong and other stocks went down. But at the same time, right now, as Indian market was very volatile whole the day and closed on the negative side, at the same time, European markets are also behaving like that. So it shows that concern is not over. There is a deep crisis in the stock market, not only stock market, but because China is the biggest, second biggest economy of the world, and the Chinese economy is not going to be stabilized. Even today also, China tried to stimulate some more than $20 billion short-term liquidity was infused, but I think it is not showing the result.
And people are in fact saying that China, of course, is moving as it planned. So, they're in fact facing less of a jolt of a shock rather than perhaps the global economy or even the Indian markets are actually facing, because this is according to how they eventually planned that the economy is going to go. They are going to slow down. But, it's also an indication really that even in that slowdown, how influential it is, because not just the Asian markets, but even a US is seeing some historic falls as well in their markets. So China is still very much crucial in, how the world order is as far as economy is concerned.
Actually, you see that we should go back to the 2008 crisis, the meltdown, Wall Street meltdown. Everybody felt the impact of that, and you cannot decouple the Indian economy from that. Everybody is somewhere being affected to each, and we are part of the globalization. And because Chinese economy has become such a big economy, and anything happening to that economy now, there is a slowdown. It is, everybody knows about that. But Chinese government is trying to improve the condition of the economy, infusing the system like package, giving a lot of cutting interest rate. But nothing is going to support the economy. That is the big worry for everybody. And if there is an impact in Chinese economy, definitely there will be impact on different economies of the world.
Yes, absolutely. And that we're seeing in India as well. Of course, RBI governor, finance minister, the government, in fact, is quite, they're quite confident that India can brave this out. Is that the feeling and the indication that you're also getting?
Yeah, actually, if we see the Indian economy, the macroeconomic factors are really good for Indian economy because our current account deficit is very low. We have sufficient forex reserves. Inflation has gone down. So in that case, even fiscal deficit is also being maintained at a level as budgeted by the government. So if we see the macroeconomic factors are positive for Indian economy. That's why everybody is saying that India should not get affected in a bad way. But at the same time, because markets behave based on sentiments, and FI's investment is here.
Yes.
So the way FI's investment will behave, definitely market will go that side only.
Very quickly, Mr. Harveer Singh, if you could give us an idea of really where the FII stand, because a lot of people are also taking a look at how the trends of that is going to be, and that perhaps can affect how the market behaves in the long term, in the next few days. Is that what you feel as well?
Actually, it is difficult to predict the long term, but in the short term, in the next few days, all the markets will behave like it's behaving the last few days because volatility will remain there.
Okay.
And it is advisable that any small investor should not enter at this stage into the market. So maybe someone is saying that it's a value buying for the long-term investment. Maybe it could be for a value buying for long term. But long term means 4 years, 5 years or 8 years. But anybody right now, investors should look at how the market is behaving, and definitely because FIs are withdrawing from the market, it will be a negative impact on the market.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks so much, Mr. Singh, for joining us, and hopefully, some new investors taking your advice in mind there, and hopefully going to be just seeing how the markets perform. Here on Rajya Sabha TV, of course, we'll be keeping a track on the developments there. Thanks so much, Mr. Singh, for joining us. And now heading on to more national news. A union cabinet meeting is underway at South Block. The meeting is expected to give the 7th Pay Commission a 2-month extension. The actual term of the commission ends this month. However, the commission had a 1-month extension earlier this month. The commission's report is keenly awaited by nearly 5 million central government employees and over 5 million pensioners. For more on this story, we're joined by our correspondent Shyam Sundar, who's in fact tracking that meeting. Shyam, if you could give us an indication of what we'll be seeing from that meeting and also some more details of this commission.
Well, Tracy, we know that government has issued ordinance. One is land acquisition amendment ordinance, and another is negotiable instrument ordinance. So on 31st of August, these two ordinances would lapse, and Parliament session is not prorogued yet. So Cabinet has to decide on the fate of these two ordinances. If they want to reissue these ordinances, in that case, Cabinet has to decide whether to prorogue the Parliament, or they want to reconvene the monsoon session, as Parliamentary Affairs Minister told media yesterday that he is meeting Congress Party and other political parties and looking for an option, because government wants to pass GST bill and other important bills. So government is looking on these options. So in in today's cabinet meeting, especially negotiable instrument ordinance is on the agenda of the meeting.
All right, Shyam, thanks so much for joining us. We'll come back to you, of course, later in the evening to get a complete detailed report on how the meeting went. Thanks so much. Meanwhile, a series of meetings late last night failed to end the deadlock over the implementation of the one rank, one pension for army veterans. It's been 11 days, remember, since at least 6 of the protesters have been on a hunger strike, with 2 of them admitted to hospitals. They have now demanded a meeting with the Prime Minister.
A day after the hectic negotiations with the government failed, army veterans have vowed to carry on the hunger strike at Jantar Mantar over their demands for one rank, one pension. They now want a meeting with the Prime Minister to seek an end to the deadlock for the past 74 days.
हमने अपने डिफेंस मिनिस्टर साहब से बोला था कि हमें मीटिंग दिलाएं। उन्होंने बोला था कि 24-25 को हम बात करेंगे प्रधानमंत्री जी से और आपको बताएंगे। अभी तक रक्षा मंत्री से हमें कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं आई है।
One of the major sticking points remains the date of implementation of the scheme. The ex-servicemen want the scheme to be implemented from 1st of April 2014, while the government insists on the present year. There are speculations that an announcement on OROP may come on 28th of August, the anniversary of the 1965 war.
But we should not forget that Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister of this country, before the elections, promised the veterans of this country to implement the one rank, one pension scheme. And now it's been nearly 1.5 years that the government is in power, and the government is postponing it, making lame excuses. This is really unfortunate.
The veterans held another meeting with Army Chief General Dalbir Singh yesterday, but there was no breakthrough. As the number of protesters grow at the Jantar Mantar, health of those on hunger strike is deteriorating. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And from one strike to another, fresh violence was reported across Gujarat today as a day-long bandh over the OBC quota demand from the Patel community turned violent. As protesters and security personnel traded charges over who was responsible for it, 3 people were killed. Thousands of paramilitary and anti-riot personnel have now been deployed across Gujarat to control the situation.
ભાઈઓ અને બહેનો, મહાત્મા ગાંધી અને સરદાર પટેલની ભૂમિમાં ગઈકાલ સાંજથી જે પ્રકારનું વાતાવરણ બન્યું છે, જે રીતે હિંસાનો આશરો લેવામાં આવી રહ્યો છે, આપણે બધા જાણીએ છીએ હિંસાથી ક્યારેય કોઈનું ભલું નથી થવાનું. મારી સૌ નાગરિક ભાઈઓ બહેનોને વિનંતી છે કે અત્યારે એક જ મંત્ર હોય આપણો, શાંતિ.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's appeal to the protesters in Gujarat. Modi, who was Chief Minister of the state for 12 years, also insisted that all issues could be resolved through talks. Tension is high in Gujarat as 3 persons are reported killed in widespread violence that was sparked by the detention of Hardik Patel. He has been leading an agitation demanding OBC quota for the Patel community.
गुजरात के सभी प्रजाजनों को मैं निवेदन करती हूँ, अपील करती हूँ कि आप शांति रखिए, सलामती का माहौल बनाइए। सरकारी संपत्ति वही हमारी संपत्ति है और सब लोगों के बीच शांति बनी रहे, सब एक दूसरे को सहयोग करें। फिर से मैं सभी गुजरात के भाई बहनों को विनती करती हूँ कि आप शांति रखिए, ऐसी मैं आप सबको अपील करती हूँ।
Anticipating trouble, curfew has been enforced in parts of Ahmedabad and several other major cities across the state. Curfew has been clamped in Surat, Mehsana, Rajkot, Jamnagar and Patan.
रात 2 बजे 9 पुलिस स्टेशन के विस्तार में एहतियात के तौर पे कर्फ्यू लगाया गया है। देर रात तक स्थिति सुधरी है और आज सुबह से हम स्थिति के ऊपर नज़र रख रहे हैं। एक बंद का कॉल है। जो पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस हमारे पास हैं वो भी एरिया के अंदर पेट्रोलिंग कर रहे हैं। मिलजुल के स्थिति अभी जो है सामान्य की तरफ जा रही है।
The centre has rushed about 5,000 paramilitary personnel to Gujarat to control the situation. Home Minister Rajnath Singh spoke to the Gujarat Chief Minister, assuring her of full central help in tackling the situation.
शांति बनाए रखने से देश की भला है और सबकी भला है, इसलिए इस तरह से हिंसा होना नहीं चाहिए और जो भी है वो तो राज्य सरकार देखेंगे, लेकिन शांति बनाए रखना वो सबके लिए जरूरी है.
Hardik Patel, meanwhile, accuses the police of resorting to violence and has threatened to intensify the agitation.
જે વિસ્તારમાં પાટીદાર યુવાનોની હત્યા કરવામાં આવી છે એ વિસ્તારમાં જે તે પોલીસ અધિકારી હોય કે નીચામાં નીચો અધિકારી, ચાહે કોન્સ્ટેબલ હોય કે એએસઆઈ હોય, પીએસઆઈ હોય, પીઆઈ હોય, એ લોકોને 48 કલાકની અંદર સસ્પેન્ડ કરવામાં આવે. કોઈ પણ ભોગે જે વિસ્તારોમાં અત્યારે આંદોલન ચાલી રહ્યા છે, મહેરબાની કરીને ગવર્મેન્ટને ચેતવણી આપીએ છીએ, વિનંતી પણ કરીએ છીએ કે પોલીસ તંત્રને પાછું લઈ લો.
Normal life is paralyzed across Gujarat as schools, colleges and business establishments remained closed in most places. Incidents of arson and stone pelting were also reported from some places. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
For more on this story, we're joined by senior journalist Dhimant Purohit, who's joining us on the phone line from Ahmedabad. Dhimant, if you could just give us an idea of what is the situation at the moment across the state.
जैसे गुजरात की स्थिति की गंभीरता का अंदाजा इसी बात से लगाया जा सकता है कि खुद प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी को शांति की अपील करनी पड़ी. महज 24 घंटे की बात है, कल शाम को पाटीदारों की जो रैली अहमदाबाद में हुई, 10 लाख से ज्यादा लोग जमा हुए और शांति से रैली हुई थी. तो शाम को जिस तरह हार्दिक पटेल जो पाटीदारों के नेता है, इस आंदोलन को, इस एजिटेशन को लीड कर रहे, उनकी डिटेंशन के बाद मामला बिगड़ा, लाठीचार्ज के बाद मामला बिगड़ा और आज पिछले 13 सालों में जो नहीं देखा था वो गुजरात में फिर एक बार देखने मिल रहा है. जिस तरह की स्थितियां न सिर्फ अहमदाबाद में बल्कि राज्य के करीब करीब हर कोने में देखने मिली है. अहमदाबाद हो या सूरत हो, बड़ौदा हो या फिर राजकोट हो, न सिर्फ बड़े शहरों में बल्कि गांवों तक ये हिंसा फैली है. और इसी वजह से गुजरात में आज 13 साल बाद पैरामिलिट्री फोर्सेस सड़कों पे देखने को मिली है और सेना की भी मदद मांगी जाए ऐसी स्थिति खड़ी हुई है. ये पटेलों का जो एजिटेशन है, एक इंटरेस्टिंग ट्वीस्ट भी कह सकते हैं. यही पटेल कम्युनिटी है जिन लोगों ने 30 साल पहले आरक्षण का विरोध किया था 1985 में. आज वही पटेल कम्युनिटी आरक्षण की मांग को लेकर सड़कों पे आई है और ये स्थितियां गुजरात में बनी है.
That's a very good point that you're bringing out there. Dhimant, बहुत-बहुत शुक्रिया हमसे बात करने के लिए and giving us an idea of how the situation stands at the moment, giving us an idea that after 13 years, the kind of scenes that you're seeing on the streets of not just Ahmedabad but across the state as well. We'll keep an eye on the situation there, but reactions, of course, coming in. The Patidar agitation for OBC reservation evoked mixed reactions from across the political spectrum. In fact, JDU National President Sharad Yadav disapproved of the agitation, saying that it is unjustified as the community is well off. His party colleague and Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, however, said that the demand could not be wished away by the government. The Congress, though, blamed the local government for its failure to contain the violence.
Bharatiya Janata Party and RSS made Gujarat as a political experiment by spreading the venom against the communities and against the religions. That is why they are now becoming their own victims, own deeds victims. So I demand the resignation of the Anandiben Patel.
सरकार को ये चाहिए था कि बिल्कुल सभी को विश्वास में लेकर कुछ इसमें रास्ता निकाला जाए, जिसमें सरकार विफल रही, कोई कदम उठाया नहीं गया.
मोदी जी ये ना भूलें कि एक पटेल ने उनके खिलाफ पूरे देश भर में मुहिम छेड़ दी. आज उसका नतीजा देख रहे हैं, बिहार चुनाव उसका रिजल्ट देगा. तो आज दूसरा पटेल, हार्दिक पटेल, गुजरात में खड़ा हो गया है. गुजरात में उनकी नींवें हिल गई हैं. जिस बिल्डिंग की नींवें हिल जाए वो बिल्डिंग जमीन जरूर चाटती है.
ये दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है कि जो लोग इन्फ्लुएंशियल हैं, जो लोग समाज में अपना प्रभाव रखते हैं, वही लोग आरक्षण की लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं. और जो बेचारा मोस्ट बैकवर्ड है, जिसकी कोई आवाज़ नहीं है, वो बेचारा, उसको आरक्षण का लाभ नहीं मिल पा रहा है.
All right, with that, a quick break here, but still ahead on the news at 6. Suspected Maoists ambushed a BSF team in Odisha, killing 3 Jawans. Details of that ahead.
religion-wise census data finally made public. What do the demographic trends indicate? What are the implications of the findings? Watch the big picture at 6:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. The now regular Aam Aadmi Party versus Centre war of words has opened up yet another chapter. This time it's the Home Ministry questioning the validity of a state appointed probe into the CNG fitness scam. The Delhi government insists it will not listen to anyone but the law on the matter.
They're at it again. Once again, Arvind Kejriwal's men question the centre's authority. This time it's over a probe into the multi-crore CNG fitness scam probe. The MHA says the investigation ordered by the Delhi government is legally invalid. Deputy Chief Minister writes to the Lieutenant Governor saying his government is accountable to the people and not the Union Home Ministry.
भ्रष्टाचार होता है तो भ्रष्टाचार की जांच दिल्ली सरकार की पूरी तरह से अधिकार क्षेत्र में आती है और भ्रष्टाचार की जांच भी नहीं करेगी दिल्ली सरकार तो फिर करेगी क्या?
Sisodia went on to assert that the Commission of Inquiry into the scams set up by the state government will continue with its work. The LG himself could come under the scanner. Sisodia asked the MHA to approach the judiciary if it had any objections. Another of many issues that's turned into an open political squabble over jurisdictions.
उल्टा वो कांग्रेस के लोगों को, कांग्रेस के नेताओं को और जो कांग्रेस के साथ उस वक्त के रिजीम में जो जुड़े हुए अफसर थे उनको बचाने में लगे हुए हैं।
जानबूझकर कांग्रेस को बदनाम करने की एक साजिश है। हालांकि बीजेपी के और आप पार्टी के झगड़े की वजह से दिल्ली पिस रही है। ये सिवाय इस तरह के खेल कर रहे हैं लेकिन काम नहीं कर रहे हैं। जो काम एक सरकार को करना चाहिए वो नहीं कर रहे।
The newest face-off comes 24 hours after Chief Minister Kejriwal met Prime Minister Modi, both sides calling for greater cooperation in power sharing. Clearly, solutions are a long way off. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's give you some more national news updates in Nationwide. 3 BSF personnel were killed and 6 Jawans were injured today after suspected Maoists ambushed the paramilitary team in Malkangiri district of Odisha. The BSF was on its patrol when the landmine exploded, followed by firing from the rebels. Fresh reinforcement of BSF have been rushed in from nearby areas. An encounter broke out between militants and security forces near the line of control in Uri sector today. The exchange of fire started this morning after security forces launched a search operation to find militants hiding in the area. One militant was killed during the encounter. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi visited areas hit by Pakistan shelling in the Balakot district of Jammu. He, in fact, met families of 6 civilians who were killed in the ceasefire violations. Rahul Gandhi is on a 3-day tour of the state. He will also visit Kashmir and the Ladakh region during his 3-day visit. The Supreme Court stayed the Guwahati High Court order directing a CBI probe against Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Adnabam Tuki. He is accused of corruption in awarding state contracts to his family members. It has been alleged that Tuki awarded contracts without inviting tenders when he was the PWD minister. India and Seychelles have inked 5 agreements in different sectors, including taxation, agricultural research and maritime security. Seychelles President James Alex Michel is on a 3-day visit to India to strengthen bilateral cooperation. He was conferred a guard of honor at the Rashtrapati Bhavan earlier today. The president, Indian President Pranab Mukherjee and Prime Minister Modi, along with other dignitaries, welcomed him. After the talks, Modi termed Seychelles a key strategic partner. He also said that India will provide a second Dornier maritime patrol plane to the country, even as he pledged cooperation for maritime security in the Indian Ocean region. Earlier in March this year, Modi had visited Seychelles and inked 4 agreements, including one to develop infrastructure on the Assumption Island. In more international news, at a time when Western nations like France are insisting on the removal of President Bashar al-Assad to solve the Syrian crisis, Assad said that he is confident of continuing support from its allies Iran and Russia. Assad also ruled out the hope for an alliance against the Islamic State, which he claimed is a coalition with his enemies.
Syrian President Bashar al-Assad countering speculation that he could be forced out to reach a settlement in his country's ongoing crisis. In a rare television interview with Hezbollah's official channel, Assad swore by the friendship of Iran and Russia, calling them loyal. Earlier, Russian President Vladimir Putin discussed the Syrian crisis with Jordan's King Abdullah as they met in Moscow.
The only way we can find a solution for Syria is the vital role that you and your country play to find a political solution for all parties to bring stability to that country that has endured so much.
While Iran and Russia want Assad as part of political solution in Syria, France claims Assad and terrorists are bound up together. Assad also said that there is little hope for an alliance against the Islamic State, as it will mean joining hands with backers of Syrian rebels, to indicate Turkey and Saudi Arabia.
أي تحالف أو عمل أو إجراء أو حوار يؤدي لوقف نزيف الدم السوري يجب أن يكون بالنسبة لنا أولوية أن نذهب باتجاهه من دون تردد. ما يعنينا في هذا الموضوع هو النتيجة على الأرض. منطقيا كما تقول لا يمكن لدول.
Saudi Arabia has ruled out any coalition with Assad. Like the United States, it blames Assad for the rise of Islamic State and says he cannot partner the fight against the group. However, Russia says the United States should cooperate with Assad, especially in Iraq and Syria. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you more international updates in Global Buzz. Haqqani network leader Abdulaziz Haqqani was today named specially designated global terrorist by the US. This brings him under the ambit of the US sanctions. Prohibits in fact US nationals from maintaining any relationship with him, as well as resulting in seizure of his assets in the US. The Italian Coast Guard rescued 120 migrants 40 nautical miles off the Libyan coast. The migrants were spotted at sea packed into a rubber dinghy. The migrants were taken to the southern Italian island of Lampedusa, where they will be placed in a temporary center. Two men wearing Afghan security force uniforms opened fire on Wednesday inside a military base in South Afghanistan. Two NATO service members were killed. NATO offered few details about the shooting in Afghanistan's southern Helmand province. Heavy floods forced evacuation of around 320 properties in the St. George Basin area of New South Wales on Wednesday. Roads were closed due to excessive floodwater, with many vehicles stranded and houses in the area surrounded by knee-deep water. Emergency services received around 1,300 calls for help in the South Coast area. And now let's change tracks and get you all the updates from the world of sports. Former world champion Vishwanathan Anand drew with Veselin Topalov of Bulgaria in the Singerfield Cup. After two defeats in the first two rounds, this was Anand's first point in the tournament. He is at the bottom of the table with half a point, while Topalov remains on top of the table with 2.5 points. After retaining the 100 meters crown on Sunday, Jamaican sprinter Usain Bolt is eyeing a double at the World Athletics Championship. He has entered the 200 meters final. He qualified by easing through the heats in 20.28 seconds. The final will be held on Thursday. Meanwhile, Lalita Shivaji Babar will compete in the finals of the women's 3,000 meter steeplechase at the World Championship in Beijing today. The reigning Asian champion clocked 9 minutes 27.86 seconds to be at the fourth spot in the second heat. She qualified for the final round as one of the 6 fastest timers. Novak Djokovic and Serena Williams have been named the top seeds for the US Open. The tournament starts next Monday in New York. Williams is followed on the seeding list by Simona Halep and Maria Sharapova. In the men's singles category, Roger Federer is the second seeded. And that's all we have for you on the news at 6. Thanks so much for joining us.